he hurt my feelings. You know, I'm a sensitive guy. He hurt my feelings because I've been on this diet lately. I've cut down sugar. He said I weighed 240, looked like 240 pounds of sausage stuffed in a 12-ounce sack or whatever. He couldn't even get it right because he's not from down south. He doesn't understand these descriptive phrases of speech. I am not 240 pounds, Tommy. I'm down to 231 pounds as of last week. I'll guarantee you that. And I felt insulted. He also said that I'd never been a part of a mainstream, meaningful national promotion, which, of course, I was part of those when he was still getting coffee for Vern Gagne. The only thing that Eric Bischoff has accomplished through his midget wrestling and his celebrity wrestling and his making mockery of the wrestling business, the only thing he's ever accomplished that Jim Cornette didn't accomplish was the company that he was in charge of lost more money in 1 month than every promotion that I have run or worked for in the history of my career ever lost money, period, all rolled together into one. So far, I have not been able to succeed and beat Eric Bischoff as far as running money-losing wrestling promotions. But, you know, if he'd stick to his bad reality shows, that'd be one thing. But when he messes in my business, I want to bring that up. Now they got Jason Hervey. Have you heard this? They got Jason Hervey down there sitting in on the creative meetings. Well, there's a bright wrestling mind for you. I don't even know if he could have absorbed enough from Missy Hyatt to even know anything about professional wrestling during the brief period of time when she went slumming and he got a step ladder and they got together. Maybe Jason Hervey is going to win Bischoff's midget wrestling title. He'll be so that way he and David Arquette can walk hand in hand together. But Mr. Bischoff also said that, you know, he wounded me to the bone with this one, Tommy. He said, if you want bootleg DVDs and fake autographs, well, then Jim Cornette's your guy. He was insulting the fine products that I sell on Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com. And I don't appreciate that because, number one, how can I fake my own autograph, Tommy? Is that one of those circular conundrums like, can God make a rock so big he can't lift it? How can you fake? Is it possible to fake your own autograph, Tommy?
No, he must have had you confused with Kenny Bolin.
He must have had me confused with old bootleg Bolin dealing out of the trunk of his car, because I'm proud of the fine, reputable classic wrestling products that I sell at JimCornette.com. And speaking of those videos, if you go to JimCornette.com right now, just up since last Thursday, is my 2 newest DVDs, Jim Cornette's Rookie Year, Volume 1 and Volume 2, which you can see all of the classic matches and interviews of my formative year in the wrestling business from the time that I debuted until the week before that I started with the Midnight Express, all those classic Memphis matches and television angles and things like that. Each volume is a 2-disc set, 5 hours each. Together it's 10 hours of action plus collector's booklets with photographs and gate information, insider information, anecdotes from the road. The collector's booklet's worth the price alone, only $30 plus postage and handling for 10 hours of action. JimCornette.com, and you can go and you can order those right now. And by the way, Mr. Bischoff, they're not bootleg DVDs because I have the authorization to do this from Mr. Jerry Jarrett. From Mr. Jarrett, you know, the sensible member of the Jarrett family who knows an idiot when he sees one. I have authorization to sell these from Jerry Jarrett himself because they are authorized Jim Cornette Rookie Year DVDs. So I suggest go check it out. You can see all that the information that's on there at JimCornette.com. I don't do bootleg stuff like old bootleg Bolin. All my stuff is carefully crafted for the people that love professional wrestling. Not like Eric Bischoff, who says, well, the internet wrestling community, you can have that Cornette. That makes up 5% of our audience. I got news for him. The internet wrestling community, if they stopped watching TNA Impact, then his ratings right now would look like moon landing ratings compared to what he'd have, because if he don't have the wrestling fans, he don't have shit. But he likes to look down on them, just like Vince Russo does. Eric Bischoff likes to look down on the wrestling fans. Why would you want to watch wrestling on a wrestling show? He even said something about having matches where they last 45 minutes and a bunch of guys do moonsaults. No, Mr. Bischoff. Instead of bad, overly scripted, poorly acted, melodramatic falderall and comedy that ain't funny and stupid bullshit that doesn't mean anything, wrestling fans want matches of reasonable length for the participants involved that are portrayed as somewhat serious and important, And they want to have a show that they can watch and not feel insulted or need to take a shower afterward. But you don't understand that. Oh, Mr. Producer of Scott Baio is 45 and single. Oh, Mr. Producer of all these other fucking fine classic television programs that you've foisted off on the air because people will air anything anymore. So don't knock the wrestling fans. The wrestling fans are the ones that get my respect because they're the only ones in the wrestling business that I want to deal with these days. Because the other people involved in the wrestling business are too full of shit for me to be able to stomach. Because, you know, Tommy, I got this bad allergy. I'm allergic to bullshit. And that's why I'm not involved in corporate wrestling, and that's why I regret the times that I have been and have promised to my fans that that will never happen again. Now, as far as, you know, I mentioned that I wished bodily harm on Vince Russo. Well, I'm not the only one. Wasn't it Bret Hart who said not long ago in a very high-profile internet interview that Vince Russo should be taken out in the parking lot and hanged? Somebody brought that to my attention that he apparently was not saying that as a chiropractic suggestion. So, you know, all in all, I have a feeling that I'm on the side of a lot of great people in wrestling that have told everybody that they don't have any use for Vince Russo. And I'm on the side of the wrestling fans that have told Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff and the rest of the over-the-hill gang down there that they don't appreciate a product like that they are seeing now being foisted off on them. And they're trying to silence their critics. Instead of doing something about it, instead of making the right decisions, Tommy, they're trying to silence their critics. Well, guess what? It didn't work here. And it ain't going to work because the fans demand that Jim Cornette speak the truth about things related to professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Is that not right?
No, that is absolutely right. And I know you're not really keen about talking about TNA right now, but we had so many emails come in this week. They wanted your opinion on two names that there's a lot of rumors going around that they could possibly be coming to TNA, and I promised that I'd bring it up just because, I mean, we've got like probably 50, 60 emails from...
Well, if the fans want to know my opinion on it, then I'll be more than happy to give it to them.
I figure that's why I bring it up. Two names that are mentioned as rumors to possibly be going to TNA, one being Paul Heyman and the other being your good buddy Jim Ross, and they just wanted to get your thoughts on those two guys.
Well, you know, and here's what I'll take it in reverse order. I think it would be wonderful. It might be a tad bit late right now, but I think it'd be wonderful if Jim Ross went to TNA, but not as just as the lead announcer. I think that Jim Ross should be the guy running TNA wrestling. But I don't know that they're bright enough to make that happen. But I think that might be the only thing that could possibly save him. And as far as Paul Heyman, I just truthfully, and by the way, I've had many comments to make about Paul Heyman in the past, but have I ever said Paul Heyman was a stupid guy?
Never.
I've never said that. I don't think Heyman is stupid enough to want to get involved in the current climate, at least, with a fiasco like is going on, because do you think he wants to go down there and prop up Vince Russo and his butt buddy Ed Ferrara and the guy that gets their coffee, Matt Conway, who just walked into the creative department because Dixie needed a stooge that would tell her what was going on in the creative meetings. So this guy from the office all of a sudden gets made a member of the creative team. Heyman's not going to go down there and prop them up and make them look good with which obviously he would, because Paul Heyman could shit a better wrestling format in his sleep than Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara could do if they worked on it for 20 years. Secondly, I don't think Paul Heyman would want to get in between Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and all these other people that hate each other and want each other to fail so that they can grab power and be around, of course, then you got the stooges like Terry Taylor that have never actually been able to do these things but knock everybody else that does them. Apparently, now that I've found out about my good friend Terry Taylor, if they would give Paul Heyman unlimited control on who he could bring in and what he could do on television and who worked there and who not, I think it would be a vast improvement, but I don't see them doing that because they've not made any moves to do that with anybody else in the past. So I think Paul's too smart, and I think that if JR was to go down there just to do commentary, well, then they'd have great commentary, on a shitty show, and how much can you really polish a turd? If Jim Ross went in to run the company, actually, I think the best thing to do would be for Dixie to just give it up and sell the company to Jim Ross, and then he could clean the whole house, and then they might actually have a viable wrestling promotion. So both of those things would